Hey, everybody. I have a guest that I absolutely adore. We met, I think, almost like 2 years ago now on the internet, and I loved her takes. And she was always funny on the internet. And then, of course, y'all know how I do. I like to slide in and be like, so, hey, you want to come on the podcast? She agreed. And we have been talking ever since. She is funny. She is smart. She just had a brand new, juicy, beautiful baby
I
that if you're
did.
watching the YouTube, you can see. Y'all, please welcome our fly Chai. Hey, Chai.
Hey guys, I'm so happy to be here.
What were we just talking about? Adult conversation, right?
So happy to be here.
It was funny. We were going back and forth about the time, and I was like, well, if you need to reschedule, because I like to be flexible for my guests. And Chai's like, absolutely not. I'm going to talk to an adult. We are recording. And I was like, oh, I'm here for it. So first, let me ask you, your oldest is 3, right?
Yes.
So 3 years, people may not see, but 3 years is a difference from a newborn. So how is it getting back into having to be someone's everything again? Because at 3, they start getting some independence.
So I will say the problem is it's not even the baby right now. Oh, sorry, my computer started playing random music. It's not even the baby right now, it's the 3-year-old. Wanting the attention. She's regressing, trying to be the baby again, trying to get the attention.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the part that's making it a little bit more difficult. Because I will say, my baby was in the NICU, so
Yes.
I feel like it kind of trained her, because she was there for 5 weeks.
Yes, she was there. Okay.
She got used to sleeping on her own and not being held as much for the most part, which is kind of sad, but it's a different experience. They kind of had her on a schedule. She wakes up every 3 hours, she eats and goes directly back to sleep.
Okay. And then too, with the baby, with your oldest being home, it was like, I know mommy has the baby, but the baby's not here. So with mommy, I still have mommy's attention.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it's like we would go visit the baby, and now she would ask me once the baby came home. She's like, "When's the baby going back to the hospital?" And I'm like, "No, baby, she lives here now. This is her home too." She's like, "I want you to take the baby back to the hospital." I'm like, "No."
No, she lives here too. All of us live here together, right? Oh my goodness. Well, I will say you look amazing, skin glowing. I said, come on. I saw the body picture that you posted on TikTok. I was like, come on, body.
Thank
Okay,
you.
come on. Talk about a snatch back for real. So how do you feel, like physically, emotionally? How are you feeling? Because it's still, hormones are still.
Oh yeah, still crazy, still emotional. The second C-section is a lot different healing than the first one.
Really? Okay.
Everything is just different the second go around.
Okay.
The way my titties are sitting at my elbow, at my elbows now is and I'm so sad about the fact that I had always assumed that I was gonna I already had the mommy makeover ready. I knew just what I was gonna get. And since I just had such a traumatic birth experience and was in the hospital for so long, and now I can't see myself getting an elective procedure.
Okay.
And I'm just like, oh my God, am I gonna have to work out now? Because I already had the tummy tuck, the BBL,
everything. Now, did you already have the doctor?
I just knew I was gonna be the baddest thing walking, and now I'm like, I'm gonna have to work for that body. I already bought clothes for the surgery body.
No, you did not.
I was down to Fashion Nova buying those those little thin materials you could only wear if you had surgery.
Yes. Yes.
There are surgery clothes. Most of those Instagram outfits are only for surgery bodies.
Only because they can't be for real, no matter how small or even how thick. It's like, they're not even for real, but
they don't work with gravity. So you have to have already had surgery. Everything has to be sitting up in place.
Yeah. And you had so you were down to Fashion Nova buying the surgery clothes. That is a good, you know what? Let me text myself. That is the name of this episode, child. Surgery clothes. Surgery.
If you had the BBL outfits ready, they are hanging in the closet.
Listen, I'm y'all. If y'all see me, surgery clothes. That is the episode title because that is good. So, do you think once the baby, because it's still fresh, that you will
oh, I'm really praying that like I get over it.
Okay.
And then I'm able to have the surgery.
Okay. You were not playing. So, okay, are you going to come to, because for those of you that don't know, Chai used to live in DC. Now she is not. And I'm like, yeah, of course. When we meet, you're like not even in DC anymore, because I could see us brunching and all of that. But Dr. Wendy's doctor seems to be a good doctor.
Okay, so girl, I already looked it up. I
You
already
did.
looked it up.
Okay.
Not only did I look it up, I also looked up who does her wigs. So while I'm in DC, we're gonna get everything together.
Because let me tell you, one thing about Dr. Wendy, hair will, even from her first, hair will be on point. Would you have to use her name like Leve to get an earlier appointment, or?
We're acting like that was not weird. Like those text messages from Leve were, come on.
Like, it's,
I had to tell him I was related to you so I could get my appointment earlier. Like, come on.
Like, I think that's something. And the fact that, to me,
and I'm not your friend, I'm your sister's friend.
And that's what I was going to keep saying. People act like you're automatically close to your siblings' friends. No, that's not how that works. And yes, I understand why Lebe, am I saying it right? Is it Lebe or Levy?
Lebe.
Lebe, okay. I can see why because people are like, oh, well, she was at the christening. I can see why, because that's still close enough. It's my sister's friend. So my sister was probably like, invite Lebe. Okay, cool. That doesn't
My brother just had a baby shower in Miami, right? I'm in Houston. We used to live in Miami. My friends went, right? They're not close to my brother particularly, but like, they went to his event. Like,
yes. So for people that, like you said, to not think that was kind of weird to be like, it's one thing if it's your friend, because if it's your friend, I would have just had to hit you and be like, girl, why are they talking about December? Or my friend would have been like, girl, when you go in, make sure you tell them that you know me.
Exactly.
That would have already been talked about off the top. So while we are talking about Potomac, what are your overall thoughts of the season so far?
A mess.
And for those of you that don't know, Chai is a part of the Nigerian.
I am Igbo, like Nneka and Wendy.
Okay.
We do have some mutual friends. I'm just so disappointed in Nneka. So disappointed in her.
I just feel like,
and I know she's tired of me wearing her ass out all over the internet, but I'm just like, you did too much. Like, you really, really embarrassed yourself. It's also like, I see a lot of people being like, well, we don't care about culturally, but like, you can't come into an environment and be talking about culture, and how Wendy should have done this because you guys are both Igbo, and then you like break the cardinal rules of being Igbo. Like, you can't do that. Like,
okay.
Is it Iwali or is it one mic? Like, are you the Igbo or are you not? Like,
okay.
Which one? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I see what you mean. You can't come in saying X, Y, and Z while going against said institution. So I know, I get exactly what you're saying. I was trying to give the benefit, like, maybe she wasn't trying to be on the GEB. In my mind, that only lasted for a second, because what other reason could it be than you wanting to be on the popular team, if you will? Because apparently, well, we do know there's teams with Potomac. I mean, whether people like Nneka, don't like Wendy, if you can't see that it truly seemed like a calculated effort on her part, even down to me, and everybody's different, but if we're both from the same culture, and when they said Nneka's name, and Wendy corrected him and was like, oh, you say it like this. And she was like, oh, they can call me whatever they want. To me, I was
through with her. I was through with her at that point. Like, okay, I would be so embarrassed if my older daughter, if her name is Igbo, Kamsi, if someone, and she was just like, no, they can call me whatever. No, girl, they cannot call you whatever.
They call you by your name.
No, they cannot call you whatever.
I started telling my kids, when people say, and not even in a mean way, but when people would say Taraya or Teray or say their name wrong, it's a way to say it's so-and-so. And when they apologize, you don't have to say no big deal, or like, no. You just let them apologize, and then you just keep moving forward.
I'm always like, you correct them often.
Yeah.
Because one thing for sure, when it comes to these white names that are hard, like Ponamansky, the like Eastern European names, They get them.
Chardonnay.
They get them. You know why?
Charcuterie
Because they
board.
respect them. It's
Yeah.
a respect thing, right? You
Right.
respect it, so you'll learn it. You don't let people intentionally disrespect you. Don't do that.
You know, Pinot Noir, they respect all those. But like you said, and they'll take the time. I'll never forget. I was driving a passenger, and I was telling her my name. It was a white woman, and I said twice what it was. And then the third time she said, "Oh, Tarai or whatever." I said, "Not
Or
whatever."
whatever.
I said, "It's Taria." Like, oh, okay. How hard? Taria, 3
You can't
syllables.
let people disrespect you. And
No.
it's that they don't respect you, so they just want to say whatever they want to say. And no,
Yeah.
no, no,
So
no.
when I felt like that could have been
Because
sort of a
you know how
moment.
to say Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
all them damn consonants. You know how to figure that out.
Right. So I felt like that could have been a moment for Nneka and Wendy. And it just kind of threw me when she was like, they can call me whatever. I was kind of like, and then now
It
fast.
also proved to me that like Wendy didn't have any animosity towards her coming in.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
Right.
true. Right. Right.
I'm being not only being cordial, I'm defending, telling them how to say your name.
Right. Right. And then what gets me is that people are trying to compare how Wendy feels about Nneka to Giselle and Wendy. And I said, it's totally different when the beef came from nowhere. The beef came from something that you were told, not even that you heard yourself. Then you bring the person that told you onto the show and y'all don't have a conversation about it. It's been the talk of the season. And now LeBay is here and we're not talking about it
Now
on
LeBay
camera.
is me.
Right. What was that about? And then for I think
Well, I'm
Wendy.
happy for LeBay. She got her little time because very clear she wanted to be on the show and she got her little couple minutes on the show. I was
Yeah.
checking to see the BBL and unfortunately it didn't get no airtime.
Right, because that would have been
Like I
after.
was checking to see. I was like, did she get the BBL already?
Well, did you? I was going to say because it was supposed to be before her husband's birthday party, right? That she was throwing, right?
Yep.
Insane.
That is also very much a very Nigerian thing to do is get surgery before a birthday party. That is a very Nigerian thing to do.
Listen,
Like
now was
a
she
very
coming?
Nigerian American thing to do, I'll say.
Okay. So there is a difference then.
For sure, for sure.
Okay. Wow,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
Like when everyone talks about like, oh, Wendy came on and she like switched up and got all this surgery after her second season, and I'm just like, um, Wendy is a Nigerian who lives in the DMV area. She was always gonna get that mommy makeover. Like it's standard. Like my old church, everybody got a BBL, and I went to a Nigerian
Wow,
church. Like
that
it's we getting the mommy makeovers. Like that is
okay.
a very like Nigerian American thing to do right now.
Well, I was
Everyone's
looking.
gonna get it.
If people looked at Wendy's Instagram and all of that before the show, she was fly. She was wearing the outfits and the sexy outfits. So to me, it was just like, okay, now I'm on the show and I'm really feeling myself. And I'm on a show where millions of people are going to pick me apart for every single thing. I'm gonna go ahead and get this done like I was already gonna do, and I'm gonna show it off and have fun.
Exactly.
You know, I feel like that's the fun part of the show, the dressing up, the getting the makeup done, the going to that's the fun part.
And the problem is nobody on Potomac does it besides her, really.
Let me
You
tell
get
you,
that's the problem with it, right?
when I tell you, if
Because
they
when you
don't
see
take a
that, like
lesson
even
from
Crystal
Wendy,
gets glam, and Crystal be looking very like, and I love Crystal, but Crystal, it looks like a home beat. Like her makeup looks like she did that on, but she still gets glam.
yeah. I want to see. I love when Wendy they go on the brunch and she comes in, edges laid, makeup done, whatever. Yep. Because like I said this earlier, every time I see Ashley, beautiful gowns, she's beautiful, but it gives
Don't say
contemporary.
beautiful gowns because that's a lie. She
Okay,
is always dressed like somebody's toddler.
well, I was giving.
I have
And
not seen an adult woman wear so many skirts. Why
beautiful
is the
toddlers
skirts
and
from?
tiaras. But I was thinking more so contempo casuals, merry-go-round, Deb Shop, and Joyce Leslie. That's what it's giving. Like, girl, somebody said she looks like when she does her TikToks, She looks like she's on a non-ethnic cheerleading team. I said, now, see.
Oh, but they hit it right on the head. That's exactly what it looks like.
For those of y'all that are not watching, please head over to YouTube, WEIGO podcast, because Chai just hit it right on the head. Do it again. What do you say, Chai? She's like, two.
And you can literally hear her counting out the
beats in her head. Yes. Yes. Okay. Since we're not really technically recapping the episode, y'all, because I did promise Chai I would not have her here late. What did you think? I'm gonna jump to this episode I want to talk about Ashley and Michael as a whole, but particularly this episode when that camera went off very quick. I don't think that they're getting a divorce. I feel like it was also he didn't have to film.
The thing, it's so confusing because on one hand, I'm like, was this just like a ploy so he didn't have to film? Two, was it that she thought she could get a divorce, right? And then like she realized that prenup wasn't what she thought it was.
Oh, that's a good point. So maybe she was planning, but then reality hit and she can't.
Or is it just like a little bit of like kind of what she said is the anxiety of like, oh, okay, I have to actually fully support these kids on my own, which is crazy because she would still get child support. Like you still get like, even if she would still get child support and you're on a show.
Well, there's that.
I can't imagine that you cannot live within your means and provide a good living, not even like a good
living. Yeah.
Off of the TV money.
Yeah. And so Michael's money would be, or no, I won't say Michael's money, but the money she would get from the kids would be in addition to all of that.
Like, I think back to that, like when she went to go see her dad and that he slammed that door in her face.
Yeah.
And I get the, like, did someone bring that up on the show? Like something about like something about her. Candace said it, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I understand that, but like at some point, like you don't get tired of getting played by these old white men
in your face, like over and over again.
Michael, let me see my children.
Girl, let me tell you, cut to commercial.
Let me see my children.
If you don't cut that camera on now, but she can't because.
And that's the thing. Like when I saw that, I felt for her because I'm just like, I can't even imagine. Like I'm on a trip somewhere, I'm trying to FaceTime my kids, and you cut the camera. No, I need to see my kids, and I need to be able to talk to them whenever I want to talk to them.
And then he wasn't even talking, was he? When she was talking back to him, he wasn't talking.
No, because he didn't want to be filmed.
And then for him to tell her, I will sue you if I'm filmed.
Which is already like, you try to sue everybody, huh?
Right.
Just extra litigious. Like you get a lawsuit. You
get a lawsuit. Right. Reject. Yeah. I felt for her a little too. But then there's a part of me with Ashley that feels like she's putting on for the camera. That part, when you said you kind of felt.
Yeah.
But on that same end, there's a part of me that feels like Ashley's lying and like creating something for the show. Like I just, there's something that feels inauthentic about her.
So every time they asked her about that man, Vernon, and she was going to the bathroom, what do you think she was going to do? Was she texting him to be like, "Hey, can I say this about you?"
Girl, I felt like she was trying to come up with something or talk to the producer
over there. What was going on?
She was talking to the producer. Did James still work over there? She was talking to producer James. She was talking
only
to
for us
somebody.
To find out that man got a whole fiance.
Girl named Kayla. Let me tell you how I know. Because y'all make sure you go to Kempire's channel, and I'm going to post it on mine too, and check out the recap we did today for Potomac. And people were in the comments saying and shout out to the viewers that were watching, that he is engaged to a woman named Kayla. Now, there is someone that said that they are no longer engaged, but then other people were saying they have been engaged since 2018.
Since 2018? That's damn near 70 years ago.
Yeah. And then but there are people that are saying that she's not. And then somebody in the comments said his fiance low-key looked like Toya from Married to Medicine. I was like, well,
okay. I like that.
Me too. Like But yeah, so to me, again, if he is with somebody, you're playing, I don't like how you could be playing with somebody. Can you imagine watching that?
Okay, so when I was watching this show, like literally my husband was like walking around the kitchen as I was watching that episode, and he was just like, does this man know what she's talking about?
Right. See, that's what
Like you at home minding your business, and now you on the over. We were flirting, not even like we went on a date. You know, we were flirting, which is such a subjective like
yes.
term in general. And we already know Ashley's a liar because
Yes.
was he flirting like Happy Eddie was flirting with Deborah?
And girl. So what is your version of flirting? Now I was listening to a podcast and the person said they were listening to another podcast and it was like someone who was like in their 30s, almost 40s, and then two people in their 30s, almost 40s, I think, and then two people in their 20s. And the two people in their 20s, their definition of a hookup. Now, before I tell you what their definition was, what has your definition been of a hookup when you first heard it? Not even involved.
So it's two worlds, right? Is
okay.
That I did grow up around, with white friends in high school.
Exactly.
So hookup is different, right?
Yep.
Versus when I would get around my black friends and I'd be like, we hooked up, and they were like, oh, y'all fucked.
Yes.
I'm sorry to curse. Sorry.
No, you good.
And
you
then
good, but
when
yes.
I was like, no, hooked up was just like made out for my white friends.
But exactly. So
growing up,
it was either one or the two.
I don't use that term now at all, but
of course, right. But I'm with you. When I around my black friends, it's hooked up. It's like, oh, y'all got it in. And the other one is y'all kissed and maybe a finger or two. Okay.
Right.
So this podcast, the 20-somethings were saying hooked up, and I'm talking about when you said flirting is subjective, hookups, they could be at a club and make eye contact with somebody. That is not a hookup. So again, so now I'm at a club making eye contact.
See, that's scary to me because I'm a starer and I've been trying to work on it. Okay.
Last week, I was getting out of my car and I didn't realize there was a passenger in their car. And I did a really good skincare routine and I happened to catch my reflection in their mirror. And I was like, oh, wow, your skin came out good. I'm looking in the mirror. And then I realized it was like I snapped out of it and they're looking back at me like this. And I'm like, they were literally probably thinking, why is she all in my face? But I literally didn't see them. I caught my reflection real quick. So someone could see me with my husband and be like, let's just say it was the same person. She had eyes on me. No, I was actually looking at myself. I didn't even know you were there. But again, so when you talk about it being subjective, what was the flirting, Ashley? I don't trust anything Ashley says, which is why
throw her little sauce on it.
Because she calls lies putting a little sauce on it. So I don't really trust it. What do you make of the video that she did on top of the montage?
Does Ashley date black men? Do you believe that?
No, I don't think. Girl, why are you? So in the comments on the live today, somebody said Ashley doesn't date black men. And I thought the same thing. She does not date black men. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me not be so. I don't feel like she dates black men.
Me neither.
And
maybe she used to. Just I will say, as a biracial girl, like her being a biracial girl, right? Like maybe seeing like, the capital she gets in the black community.
Yeah.
Right. Like if he was an athlete or a rapper she might be interested, but that's not her type. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, if you're talking about having daddy issues and trying to fix or fill what you were missing, that could be
the way that man slammed that door in her face on camera.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that she's on her
black?
Way? Like a jump scare. Your mama was black this whole time and I didn't know?
The thing, I look back, I'm like, did she ever talk about the nature of the relationship at all? Like that the parents had? Was it like a one-time thing?
I was going to say, or was it more? Because to me, I would feel like if they had a relationship, then he would have wanted a relationship with her. You would think that that's not always
Even
the case.
like I remember that I have to go back and watch that season, but I remember like she did communicate with someone in his family, like
Yes,
maybe
his
a brother
sister.
or something.
Wasn't it his
And I
sister?
was like, these are not people who have ever engaged with black people ever, 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 ever.
I think it was his
Like
sister.
it's given when Sheila was down to that tent
Girl.
city where like somebody came through, offered some money for a
Got you. Okay. It was maybe transactional.
there you go. That's how you
Okay.
say it in the politically correct way.
Got you.
Because I was about to say, like, I don't know, like Sheila was Sheila trapping pussy, maybe.
She
But
might not trapping. Oh my gosh, down in Tent City. Yeah. But like I said, I think it was his sister. It was the father's sister. And clearly, if she don't have a relationship with the father, she definitely didn't know no grandparents, no none of that.
no.
Just her. But now, do you think, what do you make of the video that Ashley did, thanking people for their support, and then the montage that they played in the episode? Because when I first saw the video that she did, I was like, she doing shenanigans. And was me. She doing shenanigans. She wants her fans to kind of like, what's going on with Ashley, get the hype about her so the network could see, because they're not stupid. They know that the networks look at what the fans say. But then when I saw the montage, it was almost like a tribute, but she's not dead. She's like alive. So I was like, what is happening? So what do you think?
So I saw people talking about the montage. I didn't even clock it when I watched it as anything. Like when I saw that video of her talking, I just assumed, I was like, oh, the reunion didn't go well for her.
Okay.
Is what I thought. And I'm like, okay, maybe, like this is what the girls do.
Yes.
Right? They try
Yes.
to get, like they take the hashtag out their bio. So people
Yes.
start reporting about it being out their bio.
Yeah,
and
you're
it
right.
can like drum up, you know what I mean? And then it'll help with their contract negotiations. So like I assume that's what Ashley was doing. Or maybe it was like and I think the reunion maybe like, with it being that Andy did do this interview, like he has been on the press tour with Wendy and Candace. And I think maybe he came at the other girls hard, right? Like I think maybe like they were feeling like, ooh, I might lose my job. Like this is the first time they were feeling because was it Ashley sitting at the end?
The very end, yeah. I think across from
Ashley
Nesta.
down at the end.
Or was she next to
Giselle was unseated. So sitting next to Mia.
Come on with the unseated. Unseated.
So I feel like the girls were shook. They were like, oh my God, pink slips are coming. Yeah. What can we do?
Or it was definitely a message that was sent. And I am interested. What I'm interested in seeing is if all of a sudden people are going to be able to move forward, in quotes, because before it was, I'm not even trying to say Wendy and Candace's name. I'm not trying to talk to them. Don't engage with them. And so I had posted that on Twitter, and then people were saying back to me, well, on Watch What Happens Live, Giselle did say something about being able to move forward. And I thought that was interesting timing.
Right. Because at that point, the Watch What Happens Live was after they had already filmed the reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hope that we get to see her reaction when she found out where she was
sitting. Well, that's because do they find out? They find out the day of, right?
Yeah, because I know that I've seen them come in and be like, "Where am I sitting?" Like,
I know that's right. Like a thing
that comes when they come out dressed and they're like, "Oh, where am I supposed to be sitting?" And they're like, "You're here." So we do generally get that. I don't know if they'll show it for her, especially like we do feel like they protect the network protects Giselle. Like they don't really show her like.
Remember when they cut out that Watch What Happens Live piece from BravoCon last year? Andy had made a reference to the set and joked about the set and Giselle's fashions. And in live, people saw it, but when they did the replay on Watch What Happens Live, they cut that part out. And Andy talked about her calling.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
That Andy was such a tame joke.
Right. But you see how, you know how they say we don't take stuff out. We'd have to do it for everyone. You do. Yeah. And for Andy to admit that a housewife called him about the joke, it was like, we know who that is. Right. And even Wendy, now Monique said it, and I'm not going to lie. When Monique said it, I was like, is she lying or is she telling the truth? Wendy came out and said it too, that after at the season 5 reunion, Giselle had a meltdown screaming and crying and all of that stuff at the binder, but that they didn't show that they cut
Just
that part out,
crazy,
which it's
which is
crazy to me. Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So that it'll be interesting.
I
I
would
am
love to know
really,
how she felt when she saw that
me
seating
too.
chart.
I was telling my husband, I was like, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall just to see the reactions. And I wonder if it's sending a signal to the other ladies. Like
Oh, it
what did
has
the
to,
other
because if
ladies feel?
Giselle, who is literally the queen of the show,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like if she can get pushed down to the second seat, like you can get pushed off the show.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And it's funny because people have said, oh, Giselle would never lose her first seat. We see that it hasn't. And then now people are saying she would never lose her job. And a part of me feels like maybe that's right. But then another part of me also feels like, I don't know if you're looking at the commentary about this season, whether people are team GEB, team Candace and Wendy, team Mia, team producer, the overall commentary I feel like has been not so good. Although I am noticing that when I've talked to my friends who are white about the show, they're like, it's not that bad. And then when I talk to Black folks, they can't stand this season.
so I was just gonna say that it depends on where the network is trying to go with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I feel like in terms of like a show, like with Atlanta, I don't think that there was ever a point where Atlanta was trying to pander to a white audience,
Right, right,
right?
right,
Like
right.
Atlanta knew that, like, if you put a black show on Bravo, black people watch it,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like, it's that you don't need to worry about trying to get white viewership. But there's something about Potomac where I feel like they are, it's not a black show.
right.
First, and I feel like they need the Robin, they need the Giselle, and to keep the white audience, because those are the only people who care about them. Let's be real. When you see, like, in terms of like the way Giselle is favored or not,
Mhm.
it's the white audience that likes Giselle,
And,
right?
and
Like,
even with Ashley too. I mean, and we know that, of course, there are certain Black people that, I mean, there are Black people that do, but overall, the commentary that I see, and it's always about their beauty and
yeah,
it's always about their looks.
because it's like they see them and they're able to identify with them, right?
And
Like
that's
in
what,
terms of
yeah,
when you look at Atlanta, like we've never on Atlanta, it's all black girls. It's the playing field is even, except for when they had Kim Zolciak on there,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And like that was like the white audience's proxy, and
yeah,
Giselle is the white audience's proxy for this show,
right.
right?
And which is,
And she does all the little dog whistles to them, you know what I mean? She calls the girls aggressive when they're like, she uses all the little dog whistles and panders to the white audience. She does.
uh-huh. Well, it was interesting because I look at Atlanta when Marlo called Drew last season and then got upset and was talking about she's bad body built, she's this, no outrage. When Sheree called Drew a busted can of biscuits, no outrage. Let's say when Nene, and mind you, me saying this, y'all, please know, I don't get offended by none of it. Whether someone I like says it or someone I don't like says it, I don't get offended, but I am going to talk about the different reactions. When Nene, that Portia had to check into PetSmart when they were talking about Dennis liking, allegedly, watching animals. I say that to say there is no outrage when the Atlanta women can literally say the worst things to each other. And I have literally had people say to me, oh, well, that's funny.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because for the white audience, it's black on black crime, so
Yes,
they don't
pretty
care.
much. Right. Right.
They
But
don't care,
then
but they identify with Giselle.
that's what I was going to say. So then it hits different
So
when it
when
comes.
Candace says something to Giselle, they get hit with it. Like
Yeah.
they identify with her. They care about the way Giselle feels. They're able to like put themselves in Giselle's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
That's
why.
that's the same. And I thought about Ultimate Girls Trip with Portia last season. Portia called Giselle. She said, "You a black white girl." Candace said, "You sit up here with your white looking," and it was she said it differently, and people are saying her delivery. I get her delivery, but let me tell you something. If again, different variations of a story about my husband you came out and said all these different things about my husband, knowing the picture you're painting, the least of your concern would be me calling you you sitting up here with your white looking behind and talking about your ovaries. That
Like
would be
you
like the
tried to
least.
create a Me Too narrative around my husband.
And then did it again this season in the confessional saying he made me go into a room. And I think
like you haven't
that's
stopped the narrative. And then
yes.
that's the thing that drives me crazy about this, because it's like we're supposed to pretend that these things are one to one.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
like I offended you, or the fact that like, oh, Giselle getting death threats has anything to do with Candace,
Right.
and
Because
not the
Candace
fact that
has
like
been getting
you
death
said
threats.
and did these things.
Right. Right.
Right, like Giselle is someone I find deeply triggering for me. Right, and I have to a lot of times like kind of like free her of like a lot of the things that I'm like, I know that she's aware of. I'm not freeing her of like, she knows what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Giselle is fully aware of colorism, fully aware. Yes. She gets it. Literally, her dad's politics, he ran on being a colorist. Okay. Like this is her legacy. She fully is aware of it, right? I have to free her of some of the like disgust I have from her, because I know that it's like as a dark-skinned Black woman. Like I know Giselle's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So I'm gonna take things a little bit more personally when I see like the way that she treats Candace, or the way that like the narrative around like Candace or Wendy being this or that, and like the way they're judged so much harsher.
Mm-hmm.
I know that like I'm sensitive to that, right?
Right.
But that aside, bro, like I don't know how you can see what Giselle is a full-on hypocrite. I don't know how you can see that and pretend that like you're not seeing it.
Somebody said, see, we told y'all Giselle was fun. Nobody never said Giselle wasn't fun, but she can be a fun terror also. So like with the cake and all that, no one ever said.
Why? Because she came out with the Amazon little bodysuit thing. She came out with the gold Amazon chain dress thing.
Havana Nights, and we went disco. But it's
Thank you.
It's just crazy to me how people if you take a step back, like you said, I'm going to free her from, because I'm coming from a place of my experiences. So if I can move that aside and just look at the situation for what it is, for me, what gets me, what you don't get to do, Robin brings up a conversation, right? Flashing my people on YouTube. Y'all see her flashing y'all?
Oh, my bad.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you're good. No, you're good. But
I don't know what's going on. It keeps giving me reminders for the trash and the Alexa.
Yes,
I bought a Fire TV, and that's the problem, is that it gives me all my Alexa things on the TV. Even when it's off, it turns off to remind me.
I have I have had those days when it's like, stop it. Like, why is everything talking? But aside from that, when they were talking about what Wendy and Candace did, to me, you are talking about them. They're feet away. Robin brings it up. Then they come up and ask you, because we're talking about being real. What are you talking about? And then Giselle says, we'll talk about it later. And Wendy's like, no, what are you talking about? And the faces that Giselle was making, now all of a sudden you're on mute. And for me, again, like her or not, I truly believe that Giselle does not want to get into a confrontation, a verbal confrontation with Wendy or Candace, because she cannot keep up. So I truly believe that. But to me, I just watching her, they're in your face. If I'm talking about somebody and then they happen to approach, as a woman, I kind of have no choice but to be like, well, this is what I was saying. I remember one time I was texting my husband about his sister, and I had we were talking about a wedding, and this was years ago, and I was like, yeah, she's da 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 da. And we have been texting the whole time, me and his sister and me and him, and he was responding back quick. So I was like, he hasn't responded in like 3 minutes. Girl, I was coming out of Walmart. I looked down and I had sent it to her. So then I had no choice but I text back and said, so clearly this wasn't meant for you, but since we're here, this is how I'm feeling about you. Like, I mean, so if they walk over, like, what are y'all talking about? Oh, you were making faces at da 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 da, but instead you go mute. Like, come on. That's the irritation that I get. And again, you being upset with Wendy is something that you caused. You being upset with Candace is something that you caused. You started that. And people are saying, well, she apologized to Candace, but then she sat in a confessional this year and still tried to paint a certain picture. And that's my issue. You know what? If y'all are not going to get along, don't get along. But the whole division and icing out, I would rather see y'all get into it. But she's not going to get
Like
into it.
on this reunion, I hope that Andy presses her.
Yeah.
Because I don't agree with anything that she's saying about the Candace, and like, I don't agree with any of that situation. But she can kind of formulate an argument, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I want her to be pressed on, okay, so why don't you like Wendy?
Yeah. What is it? What is
What
it that
did
she
Wendy
did?
do to you?
Because all she did was cuss you out. I mean, yes, she cussed you out. And I get that it's different relationships because I was going to use, Karen said you were a broken down whore from Hampton University with a hot box who had to check herself into Sing Sing. Anybody knows if you go, that she did check herself into a mental health facility before she got married. So we know
and
that.
I don't know if it's because like Candace, like because she came at it crazy. Sing Sing is a jail. Like
Yes, yes.
Like Karen don't be making sense with it. So
Yes.
maybe she was able to laugh it off.
Versus
like if so, you know what I mean? But you are fully in the wrong in the Wendy situation. You tried to comfort her in a crazy way.
3
she
times.
Cleared you. And now it's been like 4 years.
Yeah. It's like, get over it. Remember her and Charisse, how, it's interesting when these ladies, when their alliances shift, depends on who's a truth teller. Because Karen has called Giselle a liar, but I'll never forget when the Charisse and Giselle stuff went down, like season 1, season 2, and Charisse with the fireman. Karen says Giselle's not a liar. So it's just interesting now throughout the seasons to watch how the alliances shift and now who is the beacon of truth in this situation. Like you said, I'm hoping that Andy presses her. Like, you don't just get to sit here mute, or go ahead and sit there mute. We're moving on, but we are generally going to be moving on.
I'm really, really excited to see how this reunion goes.
Well, it's interesting because they could be doing it as a play to Instagram, but Karen and Wendy and Candace clinking the drink, that post that they did. Also, NECA crying because Wendy didn't want to move forward. I don't feel sorry for you. She said y'all can be cordial. She's not trying to ice you out. But let's be clear. You called my mom a witch. And at what point?
Can we talk about that?
Yes.
Can we talk about that?
Yes.
And my thing is that I'm like, I understand, like, people keep putting a lot on, be like, I don't understand the cultural significance. I don't understand the cultural significance, right? And I get that, right? Like, might not understand that, because I will say, in calling somebody a witch in Nigeria, that's a big deal. It's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand Black people pretending that they don't understand how deep, like, you called my
in Christianity too. You calling somebody a witch, that's like a demon. That's like come on.
And then on top, when I said my mom prays to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and you said by day and by night she worships the shrine, like, those are like,
you're calling her a Satan worshiper, pretty much. Yeah.
And then being it like it's tit for tat, like, we're talking about, NECA's talking about hearsay things that Wendy's mom said to somebody else.
Right.
Still has yet to say Wendy came on the phone and said anything to anybody.
Yes.
And then you sat in front of Wendy on national TV and call her mom a witch. Like, also, you then invited the witch to your house.
Well, that's my thing. If I really
witch to your house, while you're trying to conceive.
I was just getting ready to say, taking it from a cultural perspective, and then also Black people in Christianity, what would you say? You would say, I'm not inviting those spirits into my house. If you truly felt that way, we are big on spirits and all of that
and energy
stuff.
and
all of that,
especially around something like, okay, you're sitting here trying to conceive. I will say that for Nigerians is a big deal, right? Like, you're here trying to, you want nothing but positive. I'm not inviting somebody who wishes me ill will in general,
right,
around,
let alone
somebody I believe is a witch, for real,
right?
And I said that they took my name to a shrine, for real. Like, come on. when NECA came out here, ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. And she was crying because she realized that, like, she was like, oh,
That's what I
Wendy's
was.
not dropping this.
So we can't just sweep it under the rug, and it's going to be bigger in the community.
Yep, that's it. When Wendy said, you as a Nigerian, no, I saw the way NECA's face cracked.
Oh,
Because she
wow.
realized, oh, the community is going to come for me for this.
Wow. Okay. And the DC community is pretty tight, right? With
Oh, for sure.
Nigerians?
I mean,
Yeah.
Igbo's everywhere, right? And like NECA's husband is also someone who like grew up in Nigeria too. So like, I mean,
Okay.
she's getting it right now. Like, she's
Okay.
having a horrible time. A horrible time.
Got you.
One of my friends did post a story where they were booing her in a club in like where she was in, not a lot of people, but
I know
people
what you mean, but
booing
like,
her in Lagos. So
oh, in Lagos.
yeah,
Wow.
during December. So
So
she's
she's
having a
having a
hard
time
time, but it's deserved.
because you knew what you were doing when you
And I
came.
think when she was crying to the producer at that moment, she knew.
Okay. Okay. And then I almost like you're trying to walk it back and put it on Wendy as if Wendy should be like, it's all good. We're all done. Because I know that mothers and children are different, but I've heard if we're saying all of these different people are off limits, then if Grace is off limits, I understand that's a child because I'm a mother too. I mean, I'm a mother too, but I also have a mom. So who is not off limits then?
And I'll
My
say,
mother
like,
is okay to talk about?
right. And if we're gonna give it, okay, to give some cultural context to it, right, is Wendy's mom, Wendy's raised by a single mom, right? Already in our community, that is like few and far between,
Okay.
right? And a woman divorcing a man is
Okay.
unheard of. Like,
Okay.
it doesn't happen,
Okay.
especially for Igbo people. It really is like it is, and the way that you become shunned in the community, right?
Got you.
I know that this is not the first time Wendy has had to defend her mom,
Got
especially
you.
especially when you talk about Wendy's mom. Wendy has talked about the fact that her mom divorced her dad because her dad became like overly religious,
Okay. Yes.
right?
Oh, yes. Oh,
So the
yes.
narrative coming out of that, I already know as an Igbo person, is Wendy's mom is a witch. She's
Got
this, she's
you.
that. When I saw Wendy's mom with tattoos,
Okay.
I already knew the way the community looks at Wendy's mom.
Okay.
Right? It's not good, it's not right, but I know
You
I know
know
what
it,
the
right?
community is. And I know for a woman of that age have visible tattoos, I don't think I ever see that.
Okay. Wow.
Never. Like,
Okay.
literally, I text my every time Wendy's mom's tattoos are showing, I text my friend, I'm like, yes! Like, it is, I like, it's something that I'm like, I will always defend Wendy's mom just because she is a woman that I have not seen in my community. Right?
Okay.
Like a Nigerian woman of that age that who divorced the man for who was it, like divorce is already like the things that was he beating you, was he,
Got
those
you.
are the things that people will accept.
Okay.
Right, you just
Wow. You
decided
just
to leave a
don't.
man because you wanted to is
Yeah.
it doesn't happen, so
Wow.
I already know that like Wendy has had to defend her mom a lot. And
Okay.
I'm sure the witch allegations, like those
The
are also like
shrines.
the community, those have all come about off of her just being a divorced woman who is, most times when you see a woman who gets a divorce, she retreats from the community.
Okay.
Like, if you are leaving that man, you're not coming around, right? And you see that
Oh,
Wendy's mama was still like, she's still,
yeah. She's here. Like I'm here.
and you don't see that, and I really appreciate that and like that. So I'm sure that that is like a different, like, just to offer like that little cultural component of it, that I know
Okay.
that like this is a fight that they've had to fight for a while.
Okay. And it's like, I'm not going to come here and sit on this platform that I'm on and do this with you. And you knew coming into, I'm not going to
Exactly.
do it. Okay. Thank you for that. I definitely get that. Yeah, I would be hot too. It's again, without being a part of that culture, I know how I would feel about that. And then when you putting it into context like that, and how dare you sit in my face and cry because I'm saying we can be cordial, and that's it. We don't have to
And
be
you're not
friends.
wanting to walk back any of the comments you made.
Yes, well, that's the
You're not
thing.
apologizing or
She did,
wanting to walk back. You just want to move on, but you come in a witch. Like, that's not.
yeah. Instead of saying I am truly sorry. I know what that could have done. I know I was hearsay. Instead, well, that's what I heard. That's what I was told. So we're supposed to just go, okay, and move on.
Like you
I
literally said that my mom's not a Christian, she's a witch. Like by day and by night, she's like
and we're supposed to be okay. But again, I give it to Wendy's credit. She said we can be cordial. She at least had a conversation, so it was, it's crazy. And then I guess last thing about Potomac.
and again, I will say I absolutely believe that Wendy's mama called Lebe
Oh,
and wore her ass out.
okay.
I 1000% believe that.
Yeah, I believe that too. She probably gave her some words.
She called Lebe everything. Like I believe that, right?
Yeah.
Because it is like, okay, their family, that's Lebe was a close family friend of hers. And the way the community works, like we call everyone auntie and everyone.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So like if we grew up around each other, like my best friends, if their mom was, I did something wrong to them, their mama could call me, like that are Igbo too. Like their mom could call me and will tell me about myself.
Wear you out, right? Okay.
Because we call each other, like I call their mom auntie, like it's that. I believe it fully.
Okay.
That she did that. Okay. But that don't have shit to do with NECA.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That has nothing to do with NECA. Wow. Okay. That's crazy though. I want to see. NECA did an interview and said, hopefully you'll see people moving forward at the reunion or something like that. So it made me think,
You think she's gonna get another season?
That's what I was just getting ready to ask you. I don't know. I don't know.
Cause I'm just like, okay, like we didn't see any of her real personal story.
No.
Like, came on here with this. What we see of your husband is, first off, I think she's crazy for bringing a new ass husband onto. Because when I look back, it was like, oh, I follow her husband on Instagram. I don't remember meeting him or whatever, but so like I just happened to look for her page, and then I was like, oh, I'm following this guy. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, they like just got married,
new married.
And I think bringing a new husband on TV is crazy.
Well, and also it's funny how the way she continues to talk about Eddie and Wendy. You haven't been around Wendy long enough to know their relationship. So unless you're watching others' commentary on the show before you came on, because Mia had a lot to say about Wendy and Eddie. Of course, Giselle had a lot to say, tried to have a lot to say about Eddie and rumors. Now, all of a sudden, when it comes to F, Marry, Kill, you would free Eddie from Wendy. What have you seen in their relationship that would make you think Eddie needs to be freed?
And that's the narrative that I have. I struggle with that across the board anywhere when people try to do the like, because anytime we see a nice man, especially a black man who's just good to his wife, right? Like rather than like uplift that, it's the Russell Wilsons.
Yes.
It's Eugene from Married to Medicine.
Yep.
It is Eddie, right?
Yep.
It is the idea that like he needs to be freed from someone. The simp conversation.
Yes.
She's wearing the pants, and it's like, no, you can just have a good black man. Like let's just
Girl, say it. One who respects your thoughts.
Good black man who loves his family,
right?
And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of women aren't used to that, and that's where you go to when you're like, you want to come for Wendy, and I'm like, what we see, that is a solid relationship.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Like, unless you're seeing something that we're not seeing.
When I see them on camera, I'm seeing a friendship.
Yes. Yes.
Like genuinely, I am seeing Wendy, and when I see them, I'm like, oh, they're homies.
Yeah.
They have fun together. This is a friendship. Like, so even trying to it's a joke.
To free them, I was like, I even look at now, like, imagine what people would
don't
say.
Talk to his family behind Wendy, okay?
I was just, but and it's crazy because they tried to use that against her. I when that came out, I heard people say, and Eddie's family doesn't even talk to her, and he married her.
Okay, because if your man gets he posts your picture in the group chat, and if one of his boys doesn't like it, he'd be ready to throw you away.
Let alone his family. Right. So to me, like they tried to put that off on Wendy. I think sometimes if a camera was following me and my husband around, or caught, prime example, we were out to breakfast and he was looking for something on for my son. My son needed he's in California, and we needed to call the car was at Pet Boys. We had to do some things. So I'm like, we have the Pet Boys credit card in our possession, but is there a way that you could look it up, whatever. So he's looking up something, and he was on the phone with my son at first, then hung up, and he's looking. In the meantime, I had to look up some information to give him, and I said people would take a picture and be like, look at them out to eat and not even paying attention to each other when it was just a brief moment. But yet, or there's trouble in their relationship. But yet, just the other day, I literally pulled him down on the couch and wrapped my legs around him and said, you can get up if you can get out. So we're like literally wrestling, you know what I mean? Like just having fun but those are things that you may not see, or that a producer may not opt to show.
Also, I think that like the way that people view relationships, it's indicative of like a lot of times I'm able to see like, oh, like this is, you've never had a stable situation.
Yes.
Yeah. I hate to say that because it feels mean.
Yeah, but no, but I get it.
You can see that like you just never had like a stable situation.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like they're coming from their experience, just like us watching the show. How you talked about with Giselle, like we're coming from our experiences. So if the sad part is people feel like because they've never experienced it, it doesn't exist. And that's when it's like, okay, that part of it's not true. You, like you said, you have men out here that are X, Y, and Z, but you also do have good men out here.
Because, okay, my husband is very much a Eugene. I am very much a Toya. Okay, I want like, except instead of playing tennis for 8 hours a day, I'm watching TV for 8 hours a day. But like, I am very much a Toya. Okay, so
that is, you said instead of tennis, it's TV. Okay,
which I need to get my ass to the tennis court when I really need to.
But that's
so like I already am like those types of criticisms. I already like see it, and I'm like, or when people, and it comes from people who like, you know, you were with the Jamal Bryant, you were with the
Juan Dixon,
you're with the Gollum.
Yeah. They don't understand that. It's because of where they've come from. And this whole narrative, Toya is going to run Eugene away. That man, you can look at him and clearly see
he ain't going nowhere.
That he is in love with his wife, as he should be. I know he may work 37 hours a day in a 24-hour period, but that doesn't give you, that's when you have to look at balance, because it doesn't give a person the right to not show up in other ways in their marriage. Yes, there's going to be times when I may show up a little bit more here, a little bit more there, but you can't continue on like that for years at a time. Their kids are getting older. So I know my kids, when they got older, my mother-in-law told me, she said, you know, that my husband is one of 6 and his family was a military family. And my mother-in-law said that her husband, my husband's father, instituted basically, I'm gonna say a policy in the marriage, not really, but at least once a month, they were going to have a date night, no matter what base they were on, no matter where they were. It just needed to be them. And she told me to make sure that you create that in your marriage. You don't want your kids to grow up and then you're like, who are you? I don't even know you. So we always tried to make sure that we did date nights. And even now with the kids gone, like we both been working a lot, but I put on our shared family calendar. The kids see it, everybody see it. Brunch last Sunday. We went to mimosa brunch last Sunday. We had planned it out. We're like, all right, we're both going to work. Boom, 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 boom. And then Sunday, we're doing nothing. We went, had a beautiful time, mimosa brunch. Then we came back and I was like, what are we going to do when we get back? Let's put on our pajamas and finish binging like family business. You know what I mean? Just, it was nice just being with each other, relaxing, you know, massage my feet, all of that.
I'm big on date nights too. And I've already been like, okay, so since we have the newborn, right?
Yes.
She's not up usually because my older daughter sleeps over at my parents' house every weekend. Right?
Oh, standard. I love that.
Fridays are date nights. She sleeps over at my parents' house, but the baby isn't there yet, right?
Yes, yeah.
I've kind of just been like, and it's just nice to like, you know, put on makeup. Like even if we don't do much for the date, I just like to like put on makeup, put on a cute outfit.
That was me Sunday.
Just, like, look like myself and not a mom, and just like do that. right. And I've been trying to figure out like how do I do this with the newborn? Like I need that in my life. I need to be able to like,
Yep.
you know, and I was like, wait, like maybe when she's 6 months, then she could start sleeping over my
I was
parents.
gonna say, right. Because it's like, okay, time for you. The younger you are to start, the easier the separation, will be when it's time.
Right.
I feel the same way you did. I felt like when I came down the steps on Sunday and the look on his face was, you know what I mean? I felt good. And then,
Right. You have a cute outfit and he looks at you and you get to flirt and like it's
yes,
fun.
listen, when we were leaving the brunch, because we've been there quite a couple times, but there was one time, girl, he almost had to carry me out. I hadn't eaten a lot before I went. And then they keep that glass refilled. And I get
I love
poinsettias.
that. I want to get tipsy with my husband, and I can get because I know I'm safe.
Yes, yes.
Right? Like
Girl,
I
he
know I'm
almost,
safe. Even if you want to take advantage of me, that's part of the fun. You gave me
let me
some
tell
like
you,
I can drink.
I slept face, face, not back down on the way home. This is before he got his truck. He had his car. I slept. I laid the front car seat back, slept on my stomach with my leg up on the door jamb the entire ride home. He almost had to carry me. And so this time, and I was like, I stood up and went to the bathroom and was like, so this time I ate something a little bit before I went in the morning. And I get poinsettias, cranberry juice and champagne instead of, because
Oh,
I have an issue with
I can't
textures.
do a cranberry and champagne because they're both dry.
But I know, but let me tell you, I have an issue with textures. So like bananas, watermelon, mushy to me, oatmeal, mushy to me. So different meats, crab meat, I don't like the way it feels on my tongue. And when I see pulp, I've never been to a place where it actually was no pulp. They'll say, oh, there's no pulp. No, there's pulp in the orange juice. I see it. So to
I get
avoid all of that, I just get cranberry juice. But so we had such a good time. And then when we were leaving, he went to go
I
pull the
don't just
car
because
up.
on the other side of 30, acid reflux be kicking my ass. So like I
See,
can't
now
really
let me tell you, I used to have that, right? Really bad, to the point of my husband will tell you I was eating, this is not an exaggeration, either a bag full of the chewy Tums or the chewy Alka-Seltzers. And people were saying it's just because you're older, it's just because you're older. Well, I went and had my stomach x-rayed and I actually had no lining in my stomach. I was going through a lot of health issues at the time. I had no lining in my stomach. Girl, I literally could drink a bottle of water and felt like I could hear it go. So she ended up, and it was because I was basically ODing on ibuprofen because I had a pain in my tooth instead of getting that. So I'm taking ibuprofen and BC powder. Girl, I got to the point where I could take a BC powder with no water, no nothing, take that aspirin right
So
down.
in DC, I did that to myself. And ibuprofen and BC powder.
See,
And it
yep.
was because of tooth issues, a tooth pain.
See, yes. And so I ended up taking out my lining once they gave me the medicine to heal the medicine they gave me to heal my stomach lining and also help with the acid reflux. I promise you, it's very rare that I get it. If I don't eat enough sometimes during the day, I'll kind of feel
Yeah.
something. But so I always tell Black people, I was one that did not like doctors, didn't go to the doctors. Me having kids forced me to not try to be like, okay, they're really sick. Let's take them, to the doctor. So that's what made me, I guess, trusting, if you will, or I never wanted someone to think that I was doing what Dr. Jackie said and being dramatic. So that kept me from going to the doctors a lot. But then when I had kids, it was different. So now I encourage people, go to the doctor, get checked. I refuse not to do everything in my power when something is now going on with my body, because I realize that your health could be here today, gone tomorrow, meaning you thinking you're functioning, but I'm getting full night's sleep, still waking up exhausted, falling asleep. Getting my iron check, realizing it was in the single digits, the low single digits, and not like, so all these different things, no stomach lining, no this, no that, my vitamin D, girl, in the toilet. So then I had to be put on, I took one pill once a week, 50,000 units
Yeah, I
of,
had that too.
for
Yeah.
10 weeks. So it's like we as Black women need to be up on our,
I don't know if people don't remember this, but that was part of like during the Obama administration, they were giving free, you could get the free weekly dose of
really?
of the vitamin D because that was part
Yeah.
of their like part of the initiative was that they were talking about like, Black people not getting enough vitamin D and people in like, like people with like lower like socioeconomic statuses, if you have to work a lot, like you're not just getting vitamin D if you can't just go out in the sun and bask in the
Yeah.
mornings, right?
Yeah.
So that was like a thing. And I remember like my mom, there was a number that you call and they would mail it to you. And at the time I was in college and my mom would always make me come home for my weekly to get my box of vitamin D.
Good mom. See, that's
She's like, Obama sent the vitamin D again. You gotta
come
go get
get
your vitamin D.
come get your vitamin D. See, and that's so important. But these are things that sometimes you just don't know about, and you just expect, oh, because I'm getting older, this is what happens. And I'm like, I want to live a good quality of life. I still feel like my husband and I are young enough to live while I'm on this earth. I'm gonna do what I can do to make sure that I'm healthy. And speaking of Dr. Jackie, real quick, I know I said I wasn't going to keep you long. It's 8:28, but I have to. I cannot let you go without asking you your thoughts on the Married to Medicine reunion.
Okay, where do we even start?
Can we first start with I thought all the women were beautiful. I didn't necessarily like all the looks, but facial wise, I thought all the women looked absolutely stunning.
So Phaedra was wearing the same dress Chanel Ayan had.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Phaedra looked beautiful. That dark hair on her, because the blonde could sometimes be a lot.
No, I want Phaedra to let go of the blonde.
Yeah, like, yeah.
It's not that it doesn't look good. It just is like it doesn't fit personality. I don't know. Like it
Something
just,
is kind of
it
off
looks
with
like
it.
she's trying to be a city girl. It doesn't go with like, you can't talk like an old preacher lady with like a 26-inch blonde bust down. Like it looks stupid.
Yeah,
it doesn't go.
I was like, oh, this part with the soft curls and the dark hair looks so good on her.
Right.
You know what? I know where to go. How did Dr. Jackie end up being the victim in all of this?
I was like, okay. Okay, first off, Dr. Heavenly being like, we thought it was you, baby. Girl, it was your YouTube channel.
Your YouTube channel.
Okay, and that was the problem. It's coming from your YouTube channel. Also, like, even if like, how could Quad be like the person be like, we thought she had something to do with it? What would she have done? She reposted the video.
Even if she did,
it was from you, and Jackie said it.
And that was my thing. She said it, and then she said she was sad if she hurt her patients. It wasn't just your patients. It was other Black women in general watching you as a Black woman say this stuff. These are the times when I wish that we had a Black moderator for these casts.
And I think that like me and you had this conversation when at the time, because I literally asked that all of that was happening. I had a horrible pregnancy last time, right? Yep. I was dealing with hyperemesis, and then at the end I ended up having preeclampsia and had to like deliver, right? Like I went to the hospital, and like within hours it was like I went from like, oh, my blood pressure was high to seizure to now you're delivering, right? And part of that is also the idea that like I was at home feeling bad, right? And not really thinking like, I did a voice and I'm like, well, this feels different than the last pregnancy, but I'm like, I'm throwing up a lot, but I got used to having the headaches, right? And I got used to it. Like I said it to the doctor, and I kind of just got used to feeling bad.
Wow.
Right. That it just happened to be that like when I went into one of my doctor's appointments, she was like, your blood pressure is really high. You have to go to the hospital immediately, like a routine checkup. And they're like, how are you not feeling symptoms? And I'm like, it's not that I'm not feeling sick. I just got used to feeling bad, and like being told, like made it feel like,
Yeah. I was gonna say, you told them
like you're being dramatic. You don't want it to feel like you're just like, you're being lazy. You don't want to do things,
Yep.
I kind of just got used to feeling bad. So I felt so triggered by Dr. Jackie in that space. And also even just being in that, like, I am nobody's like necessarily look at me. I'm not anybody's overweight, right? But BMI wise, I'm technically overweight. Right. So there is this issue of like when you do have like issues, that feeling like it's my fault.
Yep. And they relate everything back to it. It's because it's your weight, because it's your weight, because it's your weight, because it's your weight. I would not want to have to go see Dr. Jackie while I'm pregnant every month.
Exactly. Because even like I remember when I had an Uber driver and he was just like, he said something about, oh, I had a neighbor who had a baby at your age too, and she had a lot of complications. And I was like, at my age?
Like, like right.
And then he was like, how old are you? So I was looking, I was like, like, okay, at that point, I was literally like taking an Uber to back and forth to the hospital to see my baby. Like at the time, because I couldn't drive because of my blood pressure medicine. So I was like, okay, like I just had a baby. I know I look a little rough, so maybe he thinks I'm older than I am, you know. So he was like, how old are you? Right. And I was like, oh, 33. And he was like, yeah, she was right around your age, an older mom.
An older 33?
Right. But like that is like, okay, 35 is technically a geriatric pregnancy.
But not 33, it's 35.
Right. But you get what I'm saying? Like in terms
Yeah.
of like a lot of these things could feel like it is your fault, right?
Yeah,
Like
yes,
I waited too long.
Yeah.
I'm too fat. I'm not, like, you get what I'm so like to hear Dr. Jackie say those things, like at that time, I was furious with her.
Yeah. And for me, it's when people say, oh, you guys, people don't get redemption. When they don't seem contrite about it, her first time speaking about it after it happened was not an apology. It was a statement. Instead of her just coming down, even saying, you know what, y'all, I am sorry. Because sometimes that's all you need. And then you can even come with an explanation later. Like, listen, y'all, I want to apologize again. And I guess you can't even really say some of the patients in my office, but over my 30 years of being in this business, I've seen it all. And I just got carried away, anything, but to like, for all of them to come
Girl, I would have
to
said I
her,
had COVID brain or
anything,
like,
the way they all jumped to, but what really got me, I get their whole thing with Quad not calling, Quad not this. They made such a big thing for Andy to say, did you hear from Quad? And Jackie say, no, I didn't hear from Quad, and Heavenly sit there mute until Quad said, well, I called Heavenly.
and she told me not to call.
And Simone's like, why would you call Heavenly about you and Jackie's relationship? Jackie and Quad have never been close. And just like Quad said, we all know Heavenly and Jackie are very close. I had a friend go through something, and I was checking up with another friend and was like, that I knew that they were really close. And I was like, well, do you think, should I wait? Should I, you know what I mean? Should I not? And just like one of my good friends had something happen in her family. And I have another friend that's friends with her. But from talking to that friend, she really didn't want a lot of, so I was like, send her husband a text. Don't, like blah, 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 blah. So
asking how people feel again, like, okay, when I had my baby and my baby was in the NICU and I was in the hospital, people would reach out to my husband and like, it's awkward. You don't know if I want to speak to someone, where people would reach out and be like, do you want to see people? Does she want to see people? Is she comfortable getting calls right now?
Yes.
Right? That is a thing that people do, right? They go to your closest person and like, can I call her? That's normal.
That's normal. And I would appreciate that, because I know if I went through like, I remember when my grandma passed away, I told my girlfriend, two of my girlfriends, and they told my other girlfriends, but those were the two, you know what I mean? That I was like, I needed to let them know right after my husband, I needed to let them know right away. This is what happened. So, but then for Heavenly to be like, I did. I'm watching that going, you literally
and you never once said, and that's the thing, is that like at the point, the times when I wasn't willing to take calls, my husband felt like I wasn't willing to take calls. He did tell me, oh, this person called and told me, and I told them that it wasn't a good time. This person reached out. They said they wanted to come see you. I told them it wasn't a good time. So I'm aware that this person they wanted to see me, but I'm not in the mood, right?
Period.
Like
yeah.
The fact that Heavenly didn't like pass that message on to Dr. Jackie was messed up.
Was very messed up. And it says that little moment to me said a lot. I'm not Quad's biggest fan, but I can also see when I think y'all are doing a lot. And that right there, I did not like that. And I'm so glad
Quad feel when Simone started talking about the situation with Quad's niece.
So here is my thing. If you want to use examples and say, Quad, off camera, these are the times I've reached out to you. If she had even said, Quad experienced something this summer and I reached out to her. You saw Quad say, Simone, Simone.
Simone.
At that point,
shaking your head, the tears were, Simone, Simone. It was clear this is not something I want to talk about here.
and it's not just Quad that's impacted. Quad's family is probably watching this reunion. So to me, we all would have known. And if Andy could have, when Andy said what happened, she could have said, well, I don't really want to get into it, but she experienced something and I was there for her. When she went through with saying all of it, I think to me at that point, I don't really need to hear anything else you have to say. There's no.
And Dr. Simone, she really disappointed me there.
Yeah, because I was
really
like, come on, Simone.
Because to me, it's also like, this isn't just like, I don't know. There's something about like, we'll just say like her niece drowned in her pool, right?
Yes.
There's something to be said about like the liability part of it.
Yes.
She died in my home, in my pool. Right. I don't know how I would feel about that if that happened to me. Like my niece was under my care, and like that's already like so
traumatic enough.
And the blame, you're blaming yourself.
Yes.
Like we don't even know if it's that, like, we don't even know if the niece's mom or dad are ready to sue Quad.
I was gonna say, you don't, right.
Like, we don't know the situation, right? Like, and Simone just being like, you already, like, it negated the whole fact that you called her or even cared to call her, for the fact that like she's here, you failing to acknowledge her feelings and deciding to continue to go on explaining what happened was just like
that to me was a lot. First of all, I felt like she didn't even necessarily have to reference the incident, but if you referenced it in a roundabout way, okay, I'll get, because we all are adults and sometimes we do need to point out examples. When I was growing up, my dad taught me, when you were in an argument with someone or when you are in a discussion having to prove your point, you need to come with facts and hit them. Your facts need to hit them with a Mike Tyson punch so they can't recover. So for me, and he said, you can't just say, you always do this, you always do that. When?
Right.
You did it on this instance, you did it. So always, if you're going to present an argument. So I get what she was trying to do, but then there's a side that's like, she is a human being with thoughts and feelings. And for you to continue on to utter those words, I was disappointed. Like, Simone, you could have you're a smart woman. You could have gotten your point across without saying exactly her niece drowned. And Andy, to me, I felt like, again, we all have our people that we like on these shows, right? I know people don't like Toya. I love Toya. I don't love everything she does. There are times when it's like, Toya, I need you to, but I will say, I really felt Andy was coming at Quad too. Like, he was definitely like.
So I think so too, but I think it's that, like, I don't, like, Andy loves Quad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, in general,
yeah,
Andy
that's true.
Quad, and I feel like I've seen that for years, and I think that there was like a point where he felt like he was trying to hold his favorite accountable.
Yeah, but because we do ask him to hold them accountable, right?
I feel like that's what it felt like. It didn't.
Yeah.
I like, as he was asking the question, it didn't feel like he was taking any answer she gave. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Pressing her, but I felt like there was like a conversation that was like somebody said, you need to hold Quad accountable.
Yeah, because that's been the conversation on the internet. You need to hold her accountable, and don't let her, almost like, we're not getting these long-winded Martin Luther King answers.
Right.
Like, this is what it is. How do you feel about Sweet Tea? Because I need to say this. For the life of me, I don't get, because we hear next week Simone saying, you calling us granniness, don't think that you're not going to get it back. Y'all started the names with her, and she's responding back to you. And for me, it was absolutely disgusting the way Heavenly and Jackie campaigned for this girl to come on this show. 2 times. You see her at Jackie's event, you get in her ear, you take a picture. Then you see her at a golf event when they're engaged and you say this. What really got me is when you listen to, there was a live that Quad and Heavenly did with someone else. Might have been B. Scott. And Heavenly saying, Quad is saying she was hurt. I see these pictures with her and Sweet Tea. And then Heavenly says, stop the BS, Quad. You were not hurt. Because remember, when I seen her, I sent you the picture. We were talking about her. And then she kind of stopped herself. So y'all have set out to have this girl come on the show. Told her she would be good for the show. And the text messages that Sweet Tea leaked, or not leaked, put out, she says that the production company said she was a better fit for Gregory, and Dr. Heavenly agreed. You say all of this, and then once the cameras start rolling, boom, now you're talking about her like a dog. And every week on her YouTube, she is dragging her. When she says, and it's going to come up next week, you wanted Quad's life. It can't be two things. You can't have it both ways. You say how horrible he was to Quad, how Quad wasn't happy in her marriage, how they hadn't had sex for years, how he abused her, but Sweet Tea wanted that life. Why is it that Sweet Tea could have just wanted a man with money? Even if we left it there, it doesn't mean she wanted Quad's man life that had money. And that's what they're trying to do.
So Heavenly has embarrassed me a little bit. This
I can't.
Not so much this season. I think her social media presence has embarrassed me. For Sweet Tea, I think that there's something like really, really strange though, like production wise. If I were Quad, that's crazy to me about bringing her on the show, right? Like we have not seen any other show people get divorced and then you make the new wife a cast member. That's
well,
crazy.
Heavenly said it was to save Quad's job. I'm gonna say it and then I'm gonna take a break. That's what
It maybe, right? Because it did give her some.
Even it gave her a story.
Really discuss it. It didn't really give her any, but it did maybe give her a little bit more relevance. If you want to force it onto the show,
right?
Fine, but I think it's really weird, especially when you talk about the fact that like this man was dragging her by her hair, and we all know that, and he did not deny it at that reunion.
No, he didn't.
He did not deny putting hands on her. He was basically was like, well, we both.
Yes.
Right. He didn't deny that he did that. So for you to like then bring somebody's abuser on the show and then like that to me is so messy and low down. And if I were Quad, I would be feeling away and looking at everybody crazy.
Yes. But knowing, not like Sweet Tea reached out to Heavenly or Jackie. Y'all reached out to her, Heavenly, and brought her on and said you would be good for the show, only to turn around and dog her out. And then,
but that's what Heavenly meant, right? Was you'd be good for the show, so I have somebody I could bully.
That's well, when Andy said, you saying that, Heavenly, is like saying, I punched them because I'm a bully. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly it. I was like, and to me, for the people because there's people that say Sweet Tea can't handle Heavenly. Oh, I think she can, because Heavenly has never lost control on her social media, on her YouTube, with the way she does when Sweet Tea is responding to her. I saw somebody say.
So I want to know how you feel. Okay, so Sweet Tea is the first one to really like poke at her marriage, at Heavenly's marriage, right? So what do you think of it, right? And then at the end of the last season, her being like she respects Kima and Alicia because that's the way Dr. Damon thinks. What do you make of all of that?
Heavenly, you purport yourself to be this marriage expert. You're very quick to say you're better than you really mainly say Toya because she's not a doctor's wife or a doctor. You said you're better at Toya than everything. Your marriage is perfect. You have said that the women can learn from you. You have Dr. Heavenly University. There is not near thing that you could tell me as a wife when you had a conversation with Alicia and said to her, you, this Black educated woman that makes money, you have said that you go along, basically you lied to Dr. Damon about how you feel like a marriage should be to make him feel like a man. So when you're overworked and overtired, you have to sneak and bring somebody in to wash clothes. You have to sneak to bring somebody in to cook and put it on dishes. But yet Toya, like her or not, is authentically her in her marriage, which is the goal, to be authentically you in a marriage. You said out of your own mouth that Dr. Damon feels like Kima feels about marriage, which means not even just the man is the head, but basically he calls the shots. And yes, daddy, you, my dear, are you like Monique and being raised by your daddy as well?
I
How
mean,
dare
pretty
you?
much.
How
It's
dare
also
you?
like it sucks because like like Dr. Heavenly is what makes me not like David, right?
Same,
Independent of what
same.
she says he is and how she talks about him, I'm seeing a man that is a lot closer to who Eugene is than anybody else.
Or do you think it's that she is what he says he is, but he's smart enough to not say it on camera and agree with her on camera?
So I don't think so, right? I think that he is someone who, and I will say this specifically just coming from like, okay, Kima is Nigerian, but he's really Jamaican. But and I don't know, he added to the bad PR Nigeria getting on Bravo, right? Is that there is this idea, right, of being this man, a way a man should be,
Okay.
right? And I've seen it in a lot of relationships with a lot where a man will say these are his beliefs, right? And then, but that's not who he is,
Got you.
right?
Okay.
And you will just like pretend with him and like I have
I,
a friend whose relationship is exactly like that, right? Like her husband is probably identical to mine in the way that they, except that her husband speaks about marriage differently,
okay. Okay.
right? Like he pretends to be the head and then and like is doing all this, but that's not the reality
That's
of
not the reality. Got it.
right.
Okay.
And she will pretend that that is what they're doing, but it's like girl, everybody knows you. Okay,
Got you. Okay.
I'm a lot like Dr. Heavenly. She's a lot like Dr. Heavenly. Like we are Miami girls.
Okay.
Like the Dade County is deep in us.
Okay.
So, and I feel like that's what it is with Dr. David because you are
Okay.
seeing it. Like he's white. Like Dr. Heavenly is, and not to even say like she is uncontrollable, right? That is, she's not like, and that is not even me being like somebody who's saying that like, but that the way that they think is the type of people who would be like, oh, you need to control your woman.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
And she has never been controlled. She says what she wants. She's embarrassing. She does like,
That's true. Yeah.
so I just don't see it. Like Dr. Damon is just not, he's not being that way. We see the way that he is with Laura too. Like he
Yeah.
has like misogynistic viewpoints,
Views.
like
That's very true.
you know, being like, I'm a man, like, you know, Alora's a woman. She shouldn't be this. Like,
Yeah.
I have to look out for her
For her.
more,
Yep.
things like
Yep.
that, right?
Yeah.
But it's in a way of like a man of that generation. It doesn't feel harmful. Am I being
Okay.
like
You no.
manipulative
I get what you're
for
saying.
him?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He
I
doesn't
get what
actually
you're saying.
behave that way because Dr. Heavenly would not be acting an ass every chance we see her if
Every
he
chance she
did.
gets. Yeah. Cause she isn't, to me, she is embarrassing. And not, and she is someone that would almost make you want to put hands on her. And I said, she better leave Sweet Tea alone because Sweet
She
Tea, and
pulled
I've said it
Eugene
before.
out of his character at the lap, like
Listen,
the way he was grabbing Dr. David.
I've said it before, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Sweet Tea gives me fighting barefoot on dirt road energy. Heavenly, you might want to, and Heavenly always manages to make herself just like this last round on social media. These people just need to leave me alone, girl. You've been talking about that woman every week. One of your videos, you titled it about Sweet Tea's mental health. Like, girl, come on, that is all you talk about. I think that. And another thing I don't like about Heavenly is that she takes gossip as truth. So one thing she did say was, I'm going to tell, she would say, Sweet Tea, I know your tea. I know your tea. Then she turned around when she did that tweet about Dr. G and said, Sweet Tea doesn't have anything. So I'm coming after her husband. So then how do we know how do we know the things that you saying you know about Dr. G are true? Because she does one of two things. She'll either say, I'm just playing when it came to quad and sleeping with married men. She would throw it out and be like, I'm just playing. Or when she's pressed on it, it's what I heard. It's what I heard. Dr. Heavenly to me is dangerous in that way because she will take what she hears and present it as fact. And I've never seen her bring a receipt ever about
So I
anything.
like recently did a Married to Medicine rewatch, and she owes, oh God, what's her name? The one with the cheating husband. She did
No.
the MLMs.
Lisa Nicole Cloud.
Lisa Nicole. Okay. She owes Lisa Nicole like several apologies. Because like and the way that she used to pick at Lisa Nicole was like, and that's the thing with Dr. Heavenly shares nothing about her life.
Nope.
Right. And then whatever vulnerability other people on the cast share, she then picks at them about it, while sharing absolutely nothing about her actual marriage.
There is nothing. When I tell you, there, like, you, ooh, the way they just let her get through, her and her sliding back wig from her forehead would be able to tell me nothing.
We don't know anything about her and Dr. Damon, to be very honest. Like when Sweet Tea was like, "Oh, you went upside his head with the
frying pan."
Let's hear about it.
Yeah.
Was Dr. Damon cheating?
Child. She
especially because like he was a cute.
I was, so here that was.
And let me tell you,
took that out of my head.
Dr. Damon is cute to me.
Till he is.
He could still get it now. Okay. Now.
He is. Yes. Yep.
If my husband want to act up, I'm gonna be in Dr. Damon's DM. Dr. Heavenly, be scared. Okay. Be worried. You better hope my husband stays on his best behavior forever.
I can give you what you want. And that was Sweet Tea said, give you what you want. But it's even down to when they were talking about something, somehow sex or something came up, and they were talking about Quad, like, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, like with Gregory. And it was like, okay. Like, moving along. Yeah, I'm Dr. Heavenly, to me, she talks about Sweet Tea being a child, but she calls the most names. She can't, oh, I'm better than this person, I'm better than that. It's like, listen, I want her to heal the unresolved traumas that she has with women that started when her mom pitted her and her sister against each other. Yeah. That is what needs to happen.
Because it is that competitiveness. Again, when you go back in like and watch it was Lisa Nicole, she did it to a lot. Then there was this girl, she was only on for one season, the short hair lady.
Dr. Jarrett, the dentist. Blonde.
Oh, she was a dentist? I thought she was a realtor.
Well, she had blonde hair?
She was a realtor because I know she was showing her homes. And her husband had 8 kids, and like the wife had died. I can't remember her name, Jaleesa or something. She only did one season, and she was actually good. I don't know why she didn't come back for the next season, but she just picks at like there needs to be like she needs to make herself superior to other women in a way that I think is so embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing, and
it just shows an insecurity that I'm like, you don't need to be this damn insecure.
Especially, you want to talk about being mature at your big age. Like, it's insane to me. And that, I get that these shows can be messy, but the levels to which she has gone, and then you want to talk about empowering Black women. Girl, what? You talked about this girl's mental health and her eggs. Like, I would come for your neck every time I saw you. Every single time.
Unfortunately, I still love Dr. Heavenly. Like, it just because she reminds me of home, she reminds me of my homegirls. Like,
what she needs is somebody like a Sweet Tea to light her up like, you're not just gonna say whatever you want to say to me.
That's the problem, is that there hasn't been someone who like comes back at her the right way
and shuts her all the way down. Like, oh, I know we're not talking about perfect marriages and husbands, and just boom, just runs everything down.
And the thing is, that's why she's always good about like playing, like with Quad, where she'll be like, she'll come for Quad and then I was just playing.
Yeah. You know I used to work with somebody like that, and it was like I had to tell them, you're not playing, and I'm not playing back with you. Like, so what are we doing? Yeah.
Also, like, this is random and weird, but like sometimes with Dr. Heavenly, there's something about her that like it gives are you straight? Like,
you are not the first person to say, girl, you are not the first person that I've heard say that.
Something that is like she's obsessed with Toy, like where
Yes.
her and the Toya thing, I'm like, you are attracted to that lady.
Yeah, she definitely 100% is. Toya stays in her mouth. Good,
Who
bad,
is
and
it?
different.
I will say, do you like reality and comics, Kendrick?
Yes, love Kendrick. That's
Okay,
my
Kendrick,
boo.
we calling people part lesbian,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
it gives that because I'm like, you are
Yes.
so obsessed with
You are
Toya's
not the first.
body,
You are not
Toya's
the
shit.
first
Like,
person
I'm
that
like,
I have heard other people say that. Shout out to Bondi Blue on YouTube. Bondi has said that too, and other
oh
people have said that.
yeah.
Yeah, they have called it out, and it was like Toya cannot stay out of her. She keeps Toya in her mouth. For
And I
somebody
think
that
there's
you
something
perceive
to
to be
like,
better than,
a Gen X woman who like at that time, like you weren't able to like, experiment, be who you
yep,
want. Like, I think you just assume being straight. I think Kyle Richards on Beverly Hills talks like kind of mentioned this when she
yes,
was
she
talking,
did,
being like, I was raised a certain like you just what you're raised a certain way.
and that's what
You
you
just
believe.
marry a man and you just keep like, and I think there might be some of that with Dr. Heavenly going on because I get these little things where I'm like, even with Quad, I'm like, I've just never been so pressed about other women's bodies in a way like my face just.
Yeah, that is so funny that you say that because that 100% that she would never say it. She would never.
But
Anything
that
you
would
put your
also
lips on,
explain
Toya, I
why
know it's
there's
gonna be
like
good.
a bitterness to her. Like you're
Mm,
not satisfied,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah. That's true.
you're not living your authentic self.
I am looking forward, kind of, because reunions were never my thing because they make me like, but I am looking
That's
forward.
funny because I will watch a reunion for a show I don't even watch.
Oh my gosh. See, I am so total
I
opposite.
love
There's
reunions.
been times when I've watched a whole season and barely watched a reunion because they make me,
Really, I watch
yeah.
reunions for shows I do not even watch.
I am not looking forward to the rest of this reunion with the men, and because we know it's going to be messy, and we know Dr. G is going to say something stupid, which I could see Sweet Tea when she's right, and then I can also say, girl, how much did you really know this man, like before you married him?
Oh, also, I will say I was very uncomfortable at their wedding. I was very, very uncomfortable when we met her father. I think it is really crazy, like the way that the father felt comfortable, like not giving your daughter. I don't want it to sound like I'm being, but
Mm-hmm.
not allowing because she's grown, but it's something about accepting this marriage
Yes.
because the man has money
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that grossed me
that's
out. It felt like you were selling your child. It grossed me out.
access to the money.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yep. And Sweet Tea has a good job, but Doctor, they don't respect her government job. But it is, I mean, she says she's making six figures, and what she does, definitely believe it. But to them, that's not,
Mhm.
they look they look down upon it, which is what I feel about Dr. Jackie too. They look down upon certain,
Well, Dr.
Mhm.
Jackie looks down upon most people.
Most people.
That's part of her person. Like she looks down on most people.
Yeah,
Um, I would be so scared to have her as my doctor because
me
Dr.
too.
Jackie would be look at my BMI and be like, "You disgusting fat piece of shit. You deserve to die." Uh,
You don't deserve to be bringing forth this life. Yeah.
how dare you try to bring a child into life with the BMI over 8%? What's wrong with you?
Right. Like it just, who I do think is a really good doctor? And again, not saying that Dr. Jackie isn't, but I heard Dr. Simone on she did a podcast years ago and I recently listened to it. And the connection that she likes to make with her patients is awesome to me. You can hear just how much she loves her patients and loves being a doctor. And she
So
said that
again,
she
I did a
always,
rewatch,
yes,
and she had a trans patient on there years ago,
mhm,
right? And like the way that she then also had the trans patient, and then she had the mom of the trans patient come on, and
yes,
like the way that she taught, it's just like Dr. Simone is a really good doctor. Like
a
that's the
really good,
doctor that I would want to
me
go to.
too. Me too.
Right there, I have never seen Dr. Simone fat shame a doctor. I've even
Nope.
seen Dr. Simone talk about. She talks about her own weight with patients. She
Yes.
talks about her own struggles. She's even talking about. She's like, if I started gaining weight, I would be on the semaglutide too.
Yeah.
Okay, like she
Yeah.
was talking about, I would get on Ozempic if I like. It feels real. She's a real person. It
Yep.
doesn't feel judgmental.
And she
And
feels
I
just
just say go to the
open
OBGYN. That's a place like you don't want to feel judged by your doctor.
at all. I mean, they already up inside you in the most intimate parts
Could
of
you
your
imagine having Dr. Jackie tell you got an STD?
right. This is what your fat egg gets for.
Could you imagine telling Could you imagine telling Dr. Jackie you've had multiple sexual partners?
Listen,
Something like, you know what I mean? And
I
the judge
remember I had
dead.
my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's 26. And shout out to my ladybug. I've called her ladybug since she was little. And uh my first time at my OBGYN, she was very straight to the point, harsh. And she's like, um, she was asking all these questions, of course, and she's like, and how many sexual partners? I said, it took one. And she's like, but how many sex? That has nothing to do with nothing. Absolutely nothing. We're going to move on. Thank you.
Like just the type of questions you have to answer at an OBG. I just
Yeah.
would not
How
want
many
Dr. Jackie.
partners?
Dr. Jackie could not be my OBGYN. She
No.
just couldn't. When she was talking to Debrat and Debrat about going to Wendy's, I'm like, damn, a pregnant lady can't have a burger.
Girl, Dr. Simone was saying what I like. She said that she tries to find something relatable. So if she likes her shoes, if she likes her this, because she said she doesn't want them to feel that she is better than them in any way, because at the end of the day, they're women. They're all women. And I was like, and they're all having babies. They've been through the same. And I was like, wow, that's really a cool way to operate as a doctor. Yeah, I'm kind of a little, like I said, I'm looking forward to the rest of the reunion, but not with the men. Because I know Sweet Tea's about to get embarrassed.
Oh, because of what he said about Phaedra in the previews?
Girl, unless it's something totally different than we think, but I don't think it is.
No, I don't think so. I think it is exactly what we think he said. And he just is like,
You think he'll come back next season? Him and Sweet Tea? Do you think that they're going to make her a permanent part of the cast?
I don't feel like she, maybe. I think they will. I think they will.
It,
Um,
I she just
honestly, like I'm like I think they because with Dr. Alicia, like she's younger
okay.
too. Like I feel like it
Okay.
makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Who is weird is that I like really, really, really like Dr. Alicia.
Me
I just
too.
do. I like looking at her. I think she's so beautiful.
And she's not afraid to say, back something. I do
Exactly.
too.
It's also just like I feel bad for her and like the nitpicky of her because her husband is very embarrassing. Like he is
Girl,
embarrassing. Everything he says is
like, shut up.
also we're gonna see next week at he got a
Oh,
crew neck on. He has a crew neck on with so his suit. A mess. But I really like her. Like I just think she's so pretty and cute and just
mhm.
like I like when she speaks. And I like that she's like she doesn't get overly defensive either,
No,
right? Like
it's
there's
just like,
something
this
to
is
be
what
like,
it
this it
is.
is what it is. Like she takes things in, like
Oh,
I enjoy her.
he's, what did she call, what Toya was saying something and she said, oh,
You can use some training.
but before that, when Toya was like, yeah, you should be doing X, Y, and Z. And oh, he's very opinionated, just like you.
Right.
Like, it was just like, that. So yeah, that was good. I hope she comes back too. And now that you say that, if they bring Sweet Tea back, they need to bring like Dr. Alicia, so there can be sort of a bridge with the ages, because Alicia can go with Sweet Tea and also fit in with the
And
other
maybe bring
ladies.
in one other person because I
I
feel like if
agree.
like if they still have the Ghanaian couple
From
from
last
last,
year,
yeah, she was
yeah,
a lawyer, he was a
yes.
doctor, right?
She did an interview. I'm going to send it to you. I need to find it
Okay.
and send it to you. She did an interview and she talked a lot about the show and her time
Okay,
on
I
the
want to hear
show.
it because I feel
So,
like if they still had her on there, it would bridge the gap a little bit because
yes.
it does look crazy having Sweet Tea with Dr. Jackie in any environment. Don't make no sense.
And the thing is, it's because there are certain people that are mature in a way where they're younger, but they fit right in still. Even that is not
It doesn't
the
work
case.
because I don't feel that way about Quad.
Me
And Quad
neither.
is
That's
right there.
right.
Like she's very young too.
That's true.
But there's something to that, like Dr. Jack, where even I felt uncomfortable. And I guess I was just like, maybe it's just because I'm black. that it made me feel that I didn't really like seeing Sweet Tea talk to Dr. Jackie like that. And Dr. Jackie was dead wrong. She was, right? But there was
Felt like
something that do you know what I'm saying? It just
no,
felt like
I got almost like
like
an
that.
elder thing. Like, ooh, yeah, I get it.
It made me, it just is being black that it made me uncomfortable. And that's not fair, right? That's not
Right,
fair.
right.
I can't be in a friend group, quote unquote,
When
where
I
I'm not
can't,
able to talk
yeah.
to somebody because you know,
Because
like that doesn't make any
how
sense. I
many
shouldn't
times
be
has
feeling that
Heavenly
way.
said F you to somebody? It may not be Jackie, but F you. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. I was happy that she said it, but also at the same time, I get the sentiment.
It
Like
looked crazy. It
it
felt like
looked crazy. Yeah.
to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
girl, you better respect your elders. And then I was like, oh no, like that's not fair. That's not fair.
Right. Because if it was that, it's like, oh, we going back and forth. But again,
Right.
yeah, I see what you mean. They definitely need, yes, Dr. Alicia, Sweet Tea, show more of Alicia's story and then bring in
I
somebody
want to
else.
see her at work, or is she just not working anymore? Like, what's going on? Because she's a dentist. Like, let's see
Well,
that.
you know why she's in Atlanta now?
No, why?
She was supposed to be a part of Married to Medicine DC. Remember last year when they went to see Al Sharpton and all that, but they
Yeah.
never ended up doing Love and Marriage DC. So she moved to not Love and Marriage, Married to Medicine
Yeah.
DC. So she ended up moving to Atlanta.
They should have done that.
That would have been so good.
That would have been, and honestly, I have people that I know who would be so perfect for that cast.
Really.
I like my favorite doctor ever. Like, well, she's my friend, but she'd be so good on that. And I think she'd actually do it because her husband's a pastor. I feel like it'd be good for their
Oh,
they would
wow.
be so good on that. She's like the head of a hospital too. She's beautiful. They're like her husband's a pastor. They're young. Like I know a lot of people would be so good on that show.
Joe. Yeah, that I would have loved to see that. That and
Because I actually really enjoyed Married to Medicine.
Houston.
Yeah.
I liked it
Wait,
too.
what
No,
wait.
not LA. LA.
LA.
There
There
was
were
a
rumors
Houston
of a
too.
Houston
I
that they
seen
didn't
it.
actually do.
It wasn't bad actually.
They should do because there's something Married to Medicine I enjoy because I do like the co-ed shows. Like I like the shows that
Yes.
show the men.
Yes.
I enjoy that. That's like what I do like about like even Summer House, any of the shows that like the men are involved
Mhm.
in. Like I like it. I because one thing is the men can kick up mess just as
Just
much as the women can. And I like seeing the marriage dynamics. Like
me
I just
too.
love those the co-ed shows. And I think that like that's one thing I love about Married to Medicine. I like that, like, I'm excited for the men's part of the
Reunion.
it's
And
not just about the whip. Like, they have their own things.
I feel like I'm so tired of this. A man can't speak to a woman.
I
If a
hate that.
man is constant, if a woman is constantly bringing up if you're talking about my husband, we're all grown adults. He can respond back to you in a respectful way. So this whole, it just, oh, that just annoys me so much. Like,
I think it's very convenient, and Dr. Heavenly loves to do
say
this.
it.
Like,
Yes.
you talk about people's, and then it's like as soon as like she loves to do that.
It's so, like you said, very convenient. It's like,
And it's
no,
easy
girl.
for her because people have a lot of respect for Dr. Damon that
That's
you're not going to
true.
bring it to him, right? So
That's
I
true.
kind of enjoyed when Eugene jacked Dr. Damon up real quick, and Dr. Damon was like, "No, we're not going to do that." But I did because it is that is like she gets away with that a lot
Yeah.
because it is like a lot of the conflict that should come his way, like because she
Doesn't.
does the "don't talk to me," women should, and then because people have a level of respect for Dr. Damon,
They don't go to him instead of
so
being
she
like,
gets away with stuff.
knock,
That's
knock,
it.
knock. I need to holler at you then since I can't holler at her. Oh my gosh, I agree. I agree. I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to it.
It's not gonna be worse than last year when
That's true.
Contessa's man started rapping. That
Child,
was
and
like
the embarrassment, my butt cheeks were so tight and embarrassed the entire time. I wonder if she'll end up back on the show.
well, okay. So what was the drama with her and Buffy? That they were doing
Child,
that where she
Buffy
online, like
says she
Contessa was
said,
crying
"Let
and
me hug you or let me rock you
rock
like
you
the
like the baby you
babies
couldn't
you never."
have.
Now I'm gonna say this. A part of me was like, "Would Contessa really say that?" The other part, I was looking at Contessa's response.
No, Contessa said that.
I was like, I think
Contessa said it. She
at
said
first
it.
At first, I didn't think I believed it, Chai, but I think yeah.
I believe she said just because the way that, again, I just did a rewatch. Contessa's weird.
And she was so aggressive with her that night. Like she really was. What is she crying again?
Like Contessa is weird, and like there are times where she just gets weirdly triggered, and she does weird things. Like I believe it.
I was like, in the way when she was like, everybody knows I'm a nice person. That's not and like nurturing. That's not what I get when I first see. And I don't know her personally, but that's not what I get from Contessa.
She's weird, right? She
Yeah,
gives weird military brat that does, like she's weird. I've
yeah,
always found Dr. Contessa to be weird. Beautiful girl, dressed the fool all the time. Always do it. She has that loser, like just even like her whole everything about her was just weird. She
yeah.
came on with whose mom was that was the nanny that was talking to her
Donnell Jones.
right. That situation was crazy.
I
Like
think
Dr.
Donnell.
Contessa is weird.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you can really say to me that she did or didn't do that I was like, I don't believe. Like I believe it all.
I definitely believed it because the way she was, I was like, oh my God, snotting and carrying on. I said, oh, she said that. She definitely did. Chai. I'm looking at my teacup going, Chai. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all, I hit Chai up like, hey, like Miss Juicy. Hey, how you doing? No. Thank you for coming on. Can you let the people know where they can find you? And then I have a selfish question to ask you once you're done.
Okay. I am a fly chai on everything. I do have a podcast with my co-host Antonio. We will be coming back.
Okay.
I'm giving myself another month to just like be with my baby and soak that in. And we will be back. So yeah, fly chai on everything. And our podcast is called Y'all Aren't Mad Enough. And I'm trying to really make something shake on TikTok. So please follow me on TikTok, Fly Chai.
I love your TikTok, and y'all, just to promote and support Black creators is a big deal. So I'll make sure all her links are in the episode description. And my selfish question was going to be about your podcast, because you know I am a fan of your podcast. And what I love about it, it's called, again, y'all aren't mad enough, are the topics that you talk about, and in the very nuanced way that you discuss issues, even political issues. You discuss them in a way that make them interesting. So for people, like there are certain things that y'all have talked about that I was like, well, I was wondering about that, but I didn't have a full understanding. And then the way you guys break it down is interesting, and I was able to retain the information. So then I could publicly have a conversation like I knew it all.
So yeah, me and Antonio love politics. Like I was a political science major. I like, it's a thing that we genuinely enjoy politics. So we will kiki about it in a way that is, we try to like bring issues that like we do need to be talking about it, because there's a lot of crazy things going on like in the world right now. Like, so we do need to talk about it, but we try to make it fun.
You definitely do, and you make it understandable. Like, oh, I grasp it now. I get, what they're talking about. You really do. And so I love your podcast. I love you guys together. Like I said, I love that you guys tackle everything from pop culture to politics and things that we do need to be aware of. So y'all listening, even if you're not going out there having political discussions, there are things happening politically that we at least need to be aware of, so that we are informed voters, informed citizens, all that good stuff. So I am glad that you guys are coming back. I cannot wait. Like I said, I love, love, love the podcast. Again, y'all, it's called Y'all Not Mad Enough. It is so, so, so good. How is your co-host doing? I liked
he just went back to work. So, he had a 6-month sabbatical.
Yes,
he traveled through Asia. He just got a new job. He started last week. So
yes, I remember when he was leaving.
Yeah.
I remember when y'all were taking polls, like, should he call it this or should he go here? Like this different things that you guys were talking about. And that went by so fast.
I know. We were just talking about it the other day. He was just like, when am I ever going to be able to do that again? And I'm like, that's part of what sucks about life is that we have bills and jobs, and you just have to keep going.
You have to keep going. But it was amazing that he got that 6. Like, I hope he enjoyed every last, or like, I hope he experienced every last of the 6
Yeah, he
months
did
and not just.
Asia, and then him and his boyfriend then did Brazil for like a good month
Oh,
together at
wow.
the end of it. So they had a really great time. So yeah.
That's really, and I'm sure he'll fill us in on the
Mhm.
podcast. That'll be
We're going to talk
exciting.
a lot about healthcare because he went through all the different countries and was like asking people about how the healthcare works. And we have been
Oh,
really like frustrated by like the healthcare system in America. So that's going to be our next episode, is going to be on that for sure.
oh, I can't wait, because let me tell you some of the things that I'm finding out even now as a 46-year-old woman. It's like you're pushing all of these things. You need to get tested for this, you need to do that, but you make it almost impossible even with health insurance.
Did you know that Brazil has 100% free healthcare, even up to orthodontic care?
You're lying.
He was like, we were in Brazil, and I was just looking. He was like, everyone has really nice teeth, and like even the really poor people have like braces and everything. And you're just like everyone, and it's because it's free.
Wow. That is, and here it's like, oh, it'll
A
be a
luxury,
thousand. Your
right?
copay will be
Like
$1,000. Like what?
dental stuff here is a luxury in
Yeah.
America
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah. And like that is so crazy. Okay, yeah, I'm excited for when you guys come back. So again, guys, I'm gonna link the podcast so y'all can go back and binge other episodes. Chai has been on this platform before. I not even gonna say I have no doubt she will be back on this platform for again. So this platform again. Thank you for letting me take you away from your sweet, beautiful babies for a little bit. Guys, please make sure you are subscribed to the audio version and then make your way over to YouTube. WeGo Podcast, WEIGO Podcast. Subscribe, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.